Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. It's time to game classy.
Steve's got 2 tickets to paradise. Won't you pack your bags? We'll leave tonight. He's got 2 tickets to paradise.
I have 2 tickets to paradise.
You said you were ready, yet I gave you the link and you weren't ready. You lied to me, Steve. You
What are you
lied.
talking about? I joined the link immediately.
I don't think you did. I'll have to go back. There's like, I believe that there's about 3 minutes of empty footage and empty air at the beginning of this podcast, except for me heavily breathing into the mic.
Because I immediately clicked the link and it said waiting for the host to let you in.
Yes.
And it was on there for quite some time.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's some disconnect inside the World Wide Web. I blame Putin.
Sure, that's fine. I'll blame Elon Musk.
I'm Elon Musk. I have trillions of dollars. That's how I imagine he sounds, but I know he's South African, so he just sounds like blood money.
He sounds like super racism.
He sounds like blood money. What is it? An emerald mine, apartheid emerald mines. That's what he smells like.
Blood diamonds, I believe.
No, I think it's an emerald mine that his family owned.
I see.
I mean, you're not wrong in saying blood diamonds. I mean, it's kind of interchangeable at this point, but
Right.
yeah. I mean, if a guy's making money off of slave labor mining emeralds or mining over diamonds, I think arguing the semantics is missing the point.
True. Although I do have to say one benefit to to half our generation and most of the next generation, it does appear that people giving a shit about rubies, diamonds, and gems of that sort is a thing of the past, or very rapidly approaching a thing of the past.
Actually, I've heard diamonds are very much on the down, but like rubies and emeralds have like other precious gemstones are still very popular. It's just the whole thing about like diamonds are forever, and like huge diamonds, huge carats, and huge carat diamonds, and jewelry that's very diamond heavy and expensive is not as much. I mean, people are still buying a fuck ton of gold and other precious gems.
Well, gold for sure. Yeah. Gold is one of those things that's just like that gold sickness is never going to leave humanity.
No, and it's all because of a quirk of physics and chemistry. But
I like it.
I did a lesson on it once where I was explaining like where money why we used gold and silver for money, and it was like I was like, all right, so we have to go back to the birth of the universe. and when the universe exploded, eventually when all of these atoms started coalescing together and forming what we do know as stars, you know, they would get mushed together by the gravity, and they would come and they would combine together, and you get all these different elements. But one of the most solid elements towards the end of the whole thing was gold. And it was kind of rare because it's 15. I believe it's 15. It might be 6. I think it's 15, which is kind of odd to get an odd number and an even number smushed together. And then after all of that, and the star explodes or disintegrates, and all the matter gets strewn about, eventually it settles here on Earth with all the other materials. And we look at all the other materials, and they're either too crumbly or ugly or will kill us. And then we find this gold, which is pretty much useless, or was useless throughout most of humanity's history up until recently when we learned about using it for electronics.
Yeah, we can use it in tech now.
And so what did we do? We were like, shiny, rare. We're going to use this to trade. We're going to use this as a substitute for goods and services, an intermediary, if you will. The condensing of gold. Hi everybody, welcome to Game Classy.
Welcome to the Historics of Currency podcast.
Well, can we just do a currency podcast and you could be like Jim Cramer? Like,
no. I want to be like one of the really dry voice, like, and that's the way humanity discovered an alternative to your standard barter system.
That little boy grew up to be Roy Cohn. Wow.
Don't doubt for a second, Jimmy. That cow would kill you and everyone you care about.
Exactly. Roy Cohn, by the way, kind of and a huge douchebag. If you can find his grave, go pee on it. But that's
I don't really know who he is, but I'll take your word for it, and I'll pee on his grave if I ever see it.
He's one of those old timey actors who became like a communist witch hunt guy, and then he was like super gay and died of AIDS. So,
yeah, I mean they always are. It's just like, you know, when it's like, oh, yet another GOP congressman raging about insert whatever minority here. Turns out, oh yeah, he's a huge pedo. Oh, shocker. Big shock.
Well, anyway, yes, welcome to Game Classic. I'm your host Joe, and with me as always my co-host Steve.
Hello.
This is our first time.
A lot of Star Trek lately.
What's that?
Been watching a lot of Star Trek lately.
I know. Well, I gave you a mission. I was like, you got to tell me your top 5 favorite Star Trek episodes, and then you're like, I can't do it. And I was like, fine, just do Next Gen. And you're like, fine.
I actually ended up just like I kind of cobbled together an overall list. I tried to pick something from each series, actually.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't know why I've been in a Star Trek mood lately myself. I know you just got Paramount Plus for like a free trial, right?
Yeah. It's $2 a month for 3 months.
Yes, and then you know what you do after that? You burn it because it's the worst user interface of all time.
I actually don't think the user interface is the problem.
I should say
the player is terrible.
Worst video player, not user interface.
Yeah, the player is awful. It's just like it freezes and just stops. And like I thought maybe it was like just the computer I was using, but it's literally just the player. On every computer I've used,
Steve,
no matter the connection to Wi-Fi, Ethernet.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I hate the player because I hate the player.
Yes.
This is a game. This is Star Trek.
This is not a game. This is Star Trek.
So my first. So I've been watching a lot of TOS.
Yes.
And then simultaneously, I've been watching Picard while I run.
Picard.
Yes.
Isn't it how Q says it? Picard.
No, Pickard. He says Jan-Luc Pickard.
Pickard?
Yeah, he says Pickard. When he's making fun of him, he says Pickard.
Oh. I always thought that like in the original and in the Next Gen, I could be wrong, but I always thought he's a Picard. Like
when he's not making fun of him, he does say Picard.
Yes, exactly. Yes, John Delancey.
Yes. When he is specifically making fun of him, he says Pickard.
Yes. I watched the first season of Picard, and I told you too when you were talking about this is like the first season of Picard is just so like it just makes me angry watching the few episodes.
Made me
that
angry
did.
too. It literally makes you mad. It's like it's literally like it's, you know why? It's mean spirited.
It really is. Most of the new Trek stuff is mean spirited.
Yes, it's mean spirited, and that's the thing that like bothers me about it is because like I'm gonna like, so it's not that I'm conflicted. I have to concede some points. Like the directing is very good, the pacing is very good, like the special effects, like the show is crafted well. Everyone acts well. I have no complaints about like the show itself in terms of like being a show. And that's what I was saying when we were talking about it earlier, where I was like, I can see why the critical score for the show is like in the high 90s and the user score is like all, you know, low is like 60, I think.
Well,
and like,
yeah,
I get that disparity, and that disparity is because like as a Star Trek show, there's nothing about Picard that is Star Trek. They took the heart and soul completely out of it.
Except for the Admiral that says, "I'm sorry, Picard, it's out of my hands."
Yes, I actually I lost my shit. The Badmiral who's like, it's out of my hands. I was just like,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
There's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah,
I'm like, that is one day, Steve, we'll find someone in Paramount who's like some executive and they're like a fan of this podcast for whatever reason. Like out of our 60 listeners, this person is one of those 60. And they're like, you know what? Joe and Steve want to be those admirals. Let's make Joe and Steve those admirals. We're about the right age for it too. So
that could be it. That'd be great because they could come to you first and be like, Admiral Joe, we need your help. And you're like, I can't help you with this one. It's out of my hands. Perhaps you could go to the Gamma cluster and speak to Admiral Steve. Then they go see me, and I'm like, I know you've come a long way, but it's out of my hands.
Sorry, Picard. It's out of my hands.
It's out of my hands. Oh no, no, perfect. I got it. We could be a new alien species that has two heads.
Sort
And then
of.
we could just,
Yeah, like the oh god, what's that fucking movie? The one with the black guy and the white guy who share the heads, who have the two heads.
The thing with two heads.
The thing with two heads. Thank you. I couldn't think of the
Yeah.
fucking name of the movie with the thing with two heads. Oh yeah,
that has the most ludicrous police chase scene of all time at the end of it. It's great.
We'll do that. We'll do the thing with two heads type deal.
And we'll both be like, it's out of my hands.
I'll be the one who speaks the perfect English. I'll be like, sorry, Picard, it's out of my hands, and then you'd be like, unchikatuka.
And then it's out of my hands.
Yes. No, it's unchikatuka. And then you like smack your hands together and you kind of show that it's out of the hands.
Yes. Perfect.
That's what we'll do on that one.
So all that, but like it's like they're like, it's like, oh, here's a new interesting character, wasted. Oh, do you remember this minor character that might have had like a good resolution to their story in the series? Yeah, get ready for them to get killed. Like it's very like it's very angering that like it's just like, why are you doing this? Like,
well, yeah.
Like if I wanted to talk to, like, if I were to talk to the writer, I'd be like, why did you do that? Like, what purpose does that serve? Like, because it's the thing is because like they like here's like when this is the thing that really pisses me off about introducing or reintroducing a character. So like in theory, like, you know, one of the things they're saying is like they want this to be for, you know, new fans or whatever as well, to be able to watch whatever fucking bullshit line they have.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's fine. If the purpose is for new fans, like, then why bring back an old character who was in one of the old series? Because if you're bringing back the old character just to kill them, that's to fucking give like long-term fans the finger directly to their face, and a new fan won't have any attachment to that character you just killed, and they'll be like, that guy died.
Yep.
It renders the death completely meaningless, and to the people that the death has meaning to, it's literally you just fucking flipping them off.
Yep. Exactly. That's 100%. That's how I felt the entire time watching Picard. Just like watching what was going on, I'm just like, this is just mean spirited, and it's kind of a big fu to the fans of the original, like, of the Next Generation, because we
absolutely
like, and it's kind of like the thing that bothers me is it's not like fans of Star Trek are asking for a ton. We're just like, you know, we kind of just want Star Trek back. You could put it in a different ship and a different thing doing different stuff, but it's gotta be Star Trek. Like,
where is the optimism? Like, people are yelling at each other and swearing, and like, it's just like, that's not what Star Trek is about, like, at all.
I am well aware Star Trek is about the thing is Star Trek is such an easy formula fucking too. It's like, that's the hard thing. It's like, okay, what's the big hot button topics that we have right now in America? Okay, let's take the most progressive utopian luxury space communism approach to it, and that's what we're gonna see. And you know what? People really respond well to that, but we don't do it. We don't have it. It's like, okay, well, we have a fascist orange president of the United Federation of Planets. Okay, and we're dealing with that. Okay, that's fine, but we don't. You know, we solve the problem, and it's usually, well, it wouldn't be the United Federation of Planets. It would be some other like planetary system that's ruined by capitalism, and then it would be like the Enterprise would come there and they'd be like, no, fascism is wrong, this person is just obviously bilking you out of money, and everyone would be like, oh, and then at the end Riker would sit down and play poker. It's like, that's easy enough, you know, it doesn't have to be hard.
It's super not hard. And I, before, how I really thought like Star Trek could overall benefit from serialization, and I think I'm 100% correct, minus the way they do it for streaming. Because it's just, this has become another gray, grim, run-of-the-mill streaming show. Yeah, like that's literally what it is. It's like, it's something, and Star Trek, I expect Star Trek to be, you know, a cut above. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a show that is better than everything out there. Like when you watch TOS, because I've been watching a lot of TOS, obviously, and like, I don't even think you need to put TOS into perspective of like, this was in the 60s. I think TOS is just legitimately good.
Yeah,
Period.
I always I subscribe to the Fry thing of like, these 60 episodes, 70 episodes, 30 of them good.
Yeah, which I agree. I agree with that. But I
Yeah.
also don't think you even need to frame it in the like, well, this is good for a show that was in the 60s. I think the show is just good.
Yeah.
That's like that's the first thing.
And
Now the second thing. Oh, go ahead.
though, I will stop you slightly in that I know you're in the middle of the first season, which is arguably the best run of episodes. Season 2 and 3 have a lot of good episodes interspersed in them, but season 1 has that stretch of just fantastic episodes where you're just like, damn, this is so good.
Which is unique for Star Trek. Every other Star Trek's first season is either just bad or rough.
Yeah, I would say, well, I'll hold your opinion till you get through like season 3. It's not that hard to do, and you're just like, oh man, why is there a cowboy episode? What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some cornball stuff, but like
just Lincoln.
The biggest thing is like now, so taking away the like, being like, this is good for a show that was in the 60s. You can ignore that part. The part that is incredibly impressive is like it, and like the only other show I could think that was like at its level in the same timeline is Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is their morality plays. That's all that they are. That's all Star Trek is.
It's supposed to be a morality tale. Yes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a morality. It's supposed to say like, this is the dumb thing that your country is doing right now, and this is how we get through it through luxury space communism.
Yes.
Or it's yeah.
And like Picard is a mean-spirited show with like swearing and everyone is yelling at each other, and it's very like the only way to like save it like canon wise is a big ass fucking time jump retcon.
I think, well, isn't that what they're doing with the second season?
I think that is what they're doing with the second season.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, they are basically doing a time jump retcon, which I mean, that sounds very good because you could fix because that's the thing. If you pull the hey, this Picard show that was really grim and mean and awful and like, basically like intentionally hurtful as a show. It was because it's a fucking mirror universe that's bad, and it's like, oh, okay, like show me the good, what you have done to fix this, and I would be okay with that, honestly, because like then it's like, oh, okay, like especially if it's Picard's like I can't let this stand, so like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna whatever, I have to see what the season 2 has to offer. I haven't watched Discovery at all, but from what I have heard, most of my issues with Picard are going to be the same in Discovery, where it sounds like Discovery is also a mean-spirited show.
Yeah, you said you were telling me that you hadn't watched the cartoon yet, which is Lower Decks. Lower Decks is funny, but once again, it's when you have a bunch of people who work on like everyone in Star Trek, regardless of their rank or what they're doing on the starship, is just a fucking professional, right? Like you don't get on the fucking Enterprise unless you are really good at your job, right?
Right.
Like
right.
even Barclay, who I hate as a character, was really good at his job. He was just super socially awkward, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you have like Lower Decks, where it's like you have a bunch of people who are just terrible at being Federation officers. So it's just like, that's what Barclay was so weird, because he was the one person on the fucking starship, right? I mean, there may have been more, but he was the one person. Everyone was like, Jesus Christ, everyone fucking gets along, but what the hell is Barclay's problem?
He was absolutely the odd man out.
Yeah. And in Lower Decks, you have a whole bunch of people that are like that, who like don't follow the Federation rules or skirt them and whatever else. And it's funny, but it's not Star Trek. Like, and I think,
I mean, and I'm okay with that. Like, but that's the thing. It's a fucking cartoon. Like,
well,
a goofy,
Star
like
Trek, the Star Trek,
cartoon.
the animated series is fucking fantastic.
That is not an intentionally goofy cartoon. That was a cheap way to get the last bits of the story out.
But then but see, that's my problem, is you could do serious and goofy, because Trek had goofy fucking episodes. Like,
true.
Like my favorite one, and it was one that we were just talking about, the Corbinite maneuver, right? Where
that's one of my 5 picks, the Corbinite maneuver.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Sorry. So, but I mean, it's such a good, solid episode, but at the same time, it's got a really fucking goofy ending that's funny as all hell.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that episode so much just because the ending is so goofy that you're just like like you're laughing along like a 1960s where they play that
Yes.
ending music,
Yes. Absolutely.
Anyway,
The thing is,
yeah.
with the serialization talk and all this stuff, I think the best way to do a connected story in Star Trek is currently being done by the fucking Orville.
Yeah.
The Orville has it down pat because the Orville has a meta plot, which is the thing that you love from Star Trek. The meta plot is awesome.
Yeah.
You don't need every episode to lead directly into the next episode to have the amazing meta plot payouts. Arguably, the meta plot payouts are better if the story doesn't go immediately into the next episode.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have the meta plot, you have the multiple parters, and then you have a whole bunch of individual episodes with that meta plot, being background radiation to it. The Orville is what Star Trek, like, that's the thing that's funny. It's out trekking Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Well, and we've said that before, and it's basically Seth MacFarlane is just such a huge Trek fan that he understands it and he knows how to do it.
Yeah, basically, yes. That's really what it is. Like, and that's the thing too. Is like when I first heard Seth MacFarlane was doing it, I was like, I knew Seth MacFarlane was Star Trek, but I'm like, he's gonna put fucking dick and fart jokes into this show, and he did put dick and fart jokes into the show, but he did it somehow that just worked.
Mm-hmm. It's because he understands and he respects it. It doesn't mean that he's not going to put his spin on it, but he respects the concept so much. And also, Seth MacFarlane did one thing that Gene Roddenberry would never do, and it's that he actually intentionally started off and said, "Hey, humanity is actually in a pretty good place, but we're not in the best place we could be."
Yeah. Yes.
We could still be better.
Another thing that's really good is the Orville is the show that's tackling contemporary issues. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, eventually it's supposed to come back. They finished filming. It's going to be on Hulu.
Yeah, it's coming in March, I think.
Well, we are in
not March. May.
Puedo.
Yes.
Puedo. But yes. So my feeling with Trek is, and currently, and it's a probably especially with binging shows like you're talking about with Paramount Plus. It's I personally, I don't remember if I talked about this on the cast, but we my wife and I stopped binging shows. What we're doing now is we have weekly shows that we have on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have a set number of old shows that we're watching that we wanted to catch up on or rewatch. Nice. We haven't watched them in a while, but we watch one episode a week of them. So it's kind of like an old-timey television schedule.
Yeah, it's like actually watching TV.
Yeah, and then on Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays, we usually we'll watch whatever new shows that are out that we're streaming, but we only watch one episode a week. So when we're watching what just dropped, watching Vox Machina. We watched that last night. We watch an episode of Vox Machina every week. I know that they're dropping them once a week, but we're actually a couple weeks behind. So we're not actually, trying to catch up and everything like that. But any show that drops that's like a fully on, like Pam and Tommy, we're watching on Hulu. We'll only watch one episode a week just because we don't want to, you watch too much of it, you get sick of it. Like there's no point to it. Like that's why Discovery can't do that episode of the week style, because people don't understand why would it be in the middle of a streaming show if we're doing an episode a week. Disney, as much as I hate Disney, does a fairly decent job of their release schedule for an episode a week. I really like that, and people online fucking hate it. And I'm just like, well, it's a bunch of Gen Zs and millennials who never grew up with a television schedule really understanding.
Right. Yeah, elder millennials like ourselves.
Yes.
We actually had the thing where we were like, yeah, what do you want to watch? I don't know. It's on TV, so let's browse our 8 channels and see what
I mean, even with cable though, you would still watch whatever your weekly show was.
I did not have cable until I was like a lot older. I
had cable in the 90s.
Yeah, I did not. I I had my TV. Oh, you know what? No, I had my TV, which was just like my, I had the regular bunny ears.
Yeah.
Cable was on the family TV, which was
Oh,
not
no.
my TV. So I could
Oh, yeah.
sometimes
I had
watch.
that too.
Yeah. My TV was whatever. So that's why I watched a lot of Star Trek. But like when I watched Star Trek before, it was random. Also, it was funny. I was just talking about how you were saying people online hate the once a week thing. Blah blah blah. I was thinking about something. You know what's interesting? Voyager. Yeah, I know you hate Voyager. Blah blah blah. But here's an interesting thing about Voyager. Do you know that fucking Star Trek fans love Voyager?
No, they don't.
Like
That's a
they
lie.
fucking do. If you look at the Star Trek official like websites and stuff, and like the fan sites and like the polls, Voyager kicks fucking ass on those polls, dude.
That's just those are Voyager fanboys overloading the fucking surveys because they all get together and they're like, hey guys, Voyager's not doing so well, let's upvote. And then like the 50 or 60 of them get together and they make multiple counts and they vote, because you know what, people who watch the original series, like it's the Family Guy meme of Meg coming in and saying, you guys always think you're better than me, and she's Voyager, and then all the other Star Trek series are sitting there in their classy suits and ties. Like, yeah, we fucking are.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
No, so someone pointed that out the other day, and I was like, that's interesting. Voyager seems to be like a really like a fan favorite show, which I just thought was interesting.
It's not. There's only like 30 people who like that show.
Well, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Most of the people who like older Star Trek are all dead.
And yes, that's true. And I will say this too, is that if you ask anybody, you ask says your favorite show is Voyager, I guarantee you'd never want to hang out with that person in real life. It's like when you're talking with someone and you ask them what's your favorite movie, and they say, Star Wars the Phantom or Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Like, you just be like, ugh. And you back away slowly. That's what would happen. The same thing is what's your favorite Star Trek series? Voyager.
I don't think Voyager is as bad as Attack of the Clones. Come on now.
I do.
That's out of pocket.
That's out of line. That's out of line.
Yeah,
take that back. You take that back, Joe.
Yeah, that's out of line. I mean, I'll accept a certain level of Voyager slander, but that's out of line.
That's slander. Yes, totally yes. And if you ever meet anybody who says their new show, like the new Trek is their favorite show, like I really like Star Trek Discovery, you're just like, get out of here, get out of here, you dumb person.
That's the thing that bugs me about Picard is like I was saying before, like as a show, like if I was a brand new Star Trek watcher and I watched Picard, there's a good chance that I'd be like, yeah, this show's pretty cool. There's lots of action, characters are interesting. I wouldn't have any connection to any of the reintroduced characters. So like that middle finger wouldn't be in my face.
No.
And like I said, the effects are good. Obviously Patrick Stewart's acting is fucking excellent. But when I watched the episode with where he went to see Riker and Deanna, I really figured it out. It's because, and I think this is my personal, like, my big brain theory. It's because this Picard, the series, is an extension of the fucking movies.
Yeah,
that's why it's so fucked up, because it's not a sequel to The Next Generation. It's a sequel to fucking Star Trek Nemesis.
I know, and and the only person here who's a next gen movie apologizer is you, sir.
Look, man, I just like First Contact and Insurrection, okay?
Terrible movies. Even First Contact is fun to watch. It's an amazingly done movie, but it's a bad Star Trek movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, none of the Next Generation movies are good like Star Trek movies. Although Insurrection arguably is a decent Star Trek story, but it's an episode of the TV series. It's not a movie.
Yeah, we've discussed that at length.
Yeah,
but anyway,
for sure.
So, actually, what I wanted to say about the millennials with the binge watching and everything like that is like I've posted about before on things, and people have been like, I just can't watch TV like that. I'm like, if you gave it a try, maybe that might work. No one, we were able to do binging because sometimes TVs would show like marathons, and you could watch like a marathon of The Simpsons, and you'd be like, yay, Simpsons marathon. And now when you could do that every day, your brain's already kind of pre-programmed for it. But sometimes like and any show that was made pre binge watching cannot be binge watched. They're not designed to be that way. Like, yes, like you could binge watch all of Frasier, but you know what? You're not going to get the same thing out of it as a person who's watching it week to week or one episode at a time.
Toss salad and scrambled eggs. They call it
Call
again.
All right.
I actually stand the 2-episode theory myself.
Yeah. I mean,
I think too, because that's how I used to see a lot of, like, especially Simpsons, because Fox would always do
back to back,
back to back for syndicated episodes, and then sometimes Star Trek. Like there was I would watch on WGN. A lot of times they would have an episode of the original series, and then they would air like DS9. I think it was WGN.
Yeah. No, it's Channel 50 UPN.
UPN. No. DS9 I think was on WGN, wasn't it? I thought Voyager was like
they were always on Channel 50 because Channel 50 carried Paramount.
Okay. Yeah. So then, it would be like an episode of TOS, and then suddenly DS9, and like that was really cool. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. By the way, we're talking in Chicago TV numbers from back in the day. Channel 50 was eventually what became UPN, and WGN was the WB. So.
Yes. Do you remember the show? What the fuck? I can't remember the name of the fucking show, but it was the Wayans brothers in space, and they had the space hoopty.
Homeboys from Space.
Homeboys from Space. Yes.
Homeboys from Space, and that wasn't the Wayans brothers, but yes,
it wasn't. Oh,
the Wayans brothers had their own show. It was also on WB or maybe on UPN. I don't remember which one it was on, but they did have their own show. So you were just combining two shows together. You blatant racist. Fair enough. So anyway, so let's go through your top 5 Trek episodes that you listed out for me.
All right. So I didn't get one for every show because I didn't look up some of the episode names, and then I couldn't think of a really good one for Enterprise, although I definitely could if I looked at the synopsis and like re-remembered all the from Enterprise. So I'll start with TOS.
Okay.
So my 2 from TOS so far. Obviously, I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen a lot of episodes, but there's episodes I haven't seen. Like I told you before, like I would always watch the Sci-Fi Channel marathon, and like I had never seen the fucking Corbinite maneuver before somehow.
I know when you told me that, I was like, how have you never seen that episode? It's like one of the classics.
Right. And I've watched this, and I watched the Sci-Fi Channel fucking marathon like religiously for years, like because they would always do it. I think it was New Year's time. I think it was around New Year's.
No, New Year's was the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. Outer Limits,
because they had one time of the year they did it with Star Trek, and I would always watch it, but I'd never seen the Corbinite maneuver. So one of them is the Corbinite maneuver. Yeah. Corbinite maneuver hits every fucking note you can possibly hit with a Star Trek anything. In my opinion, it's like it is a perfect Star Trek episode. It has morality. It has the ideals of the Federation winning out in the end. It has a humorous ending that isn't quite a punchline. Oh, it has a everyone is laughing.
What do they? Yeah, it's like we say, "Come and we will share Triana" or something like that.
Yes. He's like, "Come, drink Triana and share with me." Fucking Clint Howard.
I always just like that alien puppet. I think if I could have one like full, like, and people build props and stuff and to show in their basement, and like it's cool, but I've never been like, there's never been a prop that I really want to have just on display.
That alien dummy would be one of them.
The alien dummy would be the exact one that I would want at all times. I would like leave it in my bed so that my wife would like pull the sheets back and see that and scream. Like that's what I would do. I would bring it everywhere with me.
That sounds awesome. Yeah,
just imagine being in a Zoom meeting and you click it on and it's just the alien dummy sitting there.
Yes, that's fucking perfect. I love it. Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, the Corbinite maneuver is definitely one of them.
It does. It does hit all. You are correct. It does hit all of those beats, and it's also with never really compromising the Federation, but also showing why Kirk works so well as a captain in the Federation.
Yes, and that's another thing about Kirk is I've also come to remember that like the pop culture Captain Kirk is an entirely different thing than Captain Kirk from Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah. I mean, they just took everything that was awful about him and kind of like overemphasized it for pop culture, but it's not true at all.
No, at all. It's not even remotely closer. There's some things where like, there's a lady and like they consensually like each other, in a few episodes, but that's not like all the time. And then also, like, he's not a fucking womanizer. He's a thoughtful captain. Like, he's every bit of like a peak of humanity as Picard. Like,
yes,
he really is. Like, everything about him is like,
he's a little fast and loose with Federation rules and regulations, but
yes,
that's why he succeeds where other captains fail.
That's right. Well, it's also why it's more of a Wild West. The emphasis on like this space is the Wild West space.
Wild West, Wiki Wild West.
Yes, Wiki
Jim
Wiki
West.
Wild West. Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada. None of this. Six gunning this, brother running this, Buffalo Soldier. Look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that's in this dress will be out of that dress when she meets Jim West.
Yes. Okay. So what's your next episode?
The next episode, I'm also going to do another TOS, and that is Court Martial.
Court Martial. That is the one with is that Spock is court martialed, or is it?
No, that is Kirk is court martialed. Kirk is accused of jettisoning a pod that had a crew member in it. He said he did it when it was after Red Alert, and there was, the crew member knew he was past the point of no return, and like, if he didn't jettison the pod, it was over for the Enterprise. He gave the person in the pod, what the fuck was his name? I can't remember his name. As much time as he possibly could, and then he ejected the pod. And the accusation was that he did it early. He did it before the Red Alert happened. And then like there's a big trial and blah 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 blah. It's a very good episode. They have like what is it? They go in and they find out, like, they play the computer, and it shows Captain Kirk pressing the eject pod button, and then like Kirk's even like doubting himself. He's like, did I remember it wrong? Did I actually do that? And then Spock figures it out, because Spock is playing chess against the computer,
and he ends up winning, and he's like, there's no way that I could beat the Enterprise.
Yeah, he's like the best course of action I could possibly have is a draw. So then because he figured out that because Spock was able to beat the Enterprise, he figured out that someone hacked the Enterprise computer.
Let me ask you, is that better or worse than the game of Suck Disc? The three-dimensional chess. Is it better or worse than Suck Disc?
Suck Disc. Suck Disc is the game that's addictive, right?
Yeah, it's a first season Star Trek episode. That's the one I believe Ashley Judd is on there as well. No, that's not a first season. That's a later season, because it's Wesley comes back to the Enterprise, and he's like this young hot recruit, and everybody gets addicted to the game that Riker found on Risa.
Yes, the Suck Disc.
So I don't remember the name of the episode. I don't remember anything else about the. Well, I do remember. I remember a lot about it, but I don't remember the name of the episode. But I do remember Suck Disc.
I'm going to definitively say that yes, 3D chess is better than Suck Disc.
Okay.
If not for anything else, you can actually play 3D chess.
I think you could play Suck Disc too. I'm sure that there's a version online that I can find.
It's not going to dump the chemicals into my brain properly. So no, you can't play it.
Yes, I and I'm looking back. I looked at the court martial because I didn't remember it off the top of my head, but now I remember it in my head. That's like Kirk gives a lot of Kirk speeches in that one, right? He
absolutely does. He gives a lot of Kirk speeches in this one.
Yeah, and it's very, very Kirk. It's one of those like top Kirk episodes.
His lawyer is really good too. The actor who played his lawyer, he's really good too. He's very dramatic, and he's got a whole speech about like books and stuff, and like how like he's like the computers. He's like, yeah, the computer is just a bunch of regurgitated information. It's not the same. He doesn't have the heart and the soul of reading it directly from the book.
That would actually be now. I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but that would actually be a really great Star Trek show. Is during Next Gen, like maybe post Next Gen, whatever, having a kind of like an NCIS for Star Trek, where it's like people have to go either defend members of the Federation, different captains or whatever else, but like they either have to defend or prosecute based upon, you know, the evidence given. Like,
a Star Trek court show would be fucking amazing.
So
it would
like,
be amazing.
Okay, so like, just imagine, like, remember that episode where Wesley breaks the flower plants on the planet of like the god people, like the god,
Yes,
like the
and
Chads.
And unfortunately, he survives.
Yes, he unfortunately survives. So the Chads want to put him on trial for death because he broke the flowers, right?
Right. You commit any crime, all the crimes penalties are death.
Yes. So just imagine if that existed, but then there was like, you call in, you know, Star Trek NCIS, and they come and they defend, they like, their whole job is to defend using the ideals of the Federation and Federation law. So they would go through and they'd be like, okay, so what happened here? And you learn about the cultures and what's wrong with their laws. So just like how in Star Trek, you know, you'll go over what's wrong with a society, like our society, you know, our customs or whatever else have you. Like, that's what we usually do through an alien species. This one, we'd go through what's wrong with our laws based on alien species, so we can have a reflection on that one. So like, there could be a whole episode where it's like, on this planet, the police beat the shit out of everybody, but everybody, you know, but then no one ever gets punished for it. You know,
the police beat the shit out of a specific group on this planet.
Well, yeah, and it could be, their argument could be like, well, if we prosecute our policemen, who will want to be a policeman? And they'll be like, people who want to uphold the ideals of your society, you know, who want to make it better for the sake of being better. And you know what? Occasionally they'll make mistakes, and yes, they will be punished for those mistakes. But you know what? In the end, they'll be doing better. You'll be better. Blah blah blah. See, I should write this show anyway.
Yes, actually holding your authorities accountable and cutting and holding them to the higher standard you propose that they already have. Yes.
See, let's write the show. We have to come up with a good name for it. It'd be like Star Court. Star Court sounds like a night court.
I mean, there would have to be like
let's see.
You know, we'd have to make it I think the easiest way to do a name on that is because we'd make it about a specific character. So like, I think this lawyer's name was like Maximilian or something. It'd be like, we'd have to do like, you know, like Star Trek blah 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 at law or something, attorney at law. I don't know, something like that.
Because they wouldn't be attorneys at law, because they'd be working for the Federation. Like, that's what the whole like I think NCIS is like naval court blah blah blah. So it would be like fuck. It would be like Star Trek Judicial Prejudice. Something similar, but
Star Trek Judiciary.
No, see, that just sounds boring.
It does sound boring.
Like, I think just Star Trek Law and Order Star Trek would be the best. Dun, dun, bum, bum, bum,
I mean,
in the Federation.
No, I got it. It's not really exactly encapsulating the nature of the show, but Star Trek Prime Directive.
Yeah, maybe I could see that.
It's not quite encapsulating the nature of the show, but they also have to operate under the Prime Directive, which actually would come up often when you have cultures like the Chads who are going to kill Wesley.
So let's put a pin on it.
Wesley is,
it's a good working title. I'm sure we can come up with something better, but you know what? We're putting a pin in it. We're going to call it from now, and then we'll come up with something better. All right. What's your next episode?
All right. Next episode is, I almost feel wrong choosing this one because it's like so frequently in like the top lists, but like, I think it really deserves to be, and it's Measure of a Man.
Another court episode.
It's another court episode. Yeah. Yes. Where Bruce Maddox is trying to get Bruce Maddox has authorization to claim and dismantle data to make more datas.
And I will say this, I know like people give him shit, but the episode does a very, very good job of pointing out of making, if any rational person watching that episode can totally understand his point of view.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that the courtroom scenes really lay that out. You know, we feel the way we feel about Data because we see him every week. You know, Data's in our living room with us, and Bruce Maddox isn't. But Data, he's a friend, so of course we want Picard to defend him and say that he is human. But you know what? People who don't know who he is, who've never been with him, of course will say he's not human. It's such a brilliant episode with the way it's done.
And that's the best part about it, and why it's such an excellent morality tale. Because at the end, even Bruce Maddox is like, you know what, I was wrong. He's like he apologizes to Data. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like I was wrong. Like he didn't think about it like that. And like that's exactly why it's so good and why it's such an amazing episode, is like that turnaround. Because you know, as the viewer, you think like, oh, I fucking hate Maddox, like what a dick, like he's the villain, like you think about it like that. But then like as the episode progresses, you're like, you know, Maddox is like trying to explain like what he's what he's trying to do, and then like Picard's like, well, you're going to create a race, like you're going to create a fucking slave race, like bro, that's fucked up. And like and then like they had to think about it, it's like, oh, that's right, because like, you know, it's they're not just machine. That's the whole point, is like Data's not just a machine. He is a machine, yes, but he's not just a machine.
And they go and do it, and after that entire thing that we learn in Measure of a Man, you get to Picard and you're like, well, we didn't learn shit. Anyway,
yeah, it's annoying.
So what's number 4?
Number 4, and these are not ordered, by the way. I don't think Corporate Maneuvers this. It's just the top 5, like soup. Number 4, In the Pale Moonlight, Deep Space Nine.
Oh, it's a fake, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's where Cisco goads. So Deep Space Nine, there's a huge war with the Dominion, and the Federation is basically getting its fucking ass handed to it because the Dominion completely outmatched the Federation in like every capacity, because the Dominion have infinite troops because they clone their troops, and they're addicted to Tetracell White. So on and so forth. There's like a whole bunch of, so like it's bad. The Federation's fucked.
I call Tetracell White Wayun Cummies.
Wayun Cummies?
Yes.
Nice. Yes, Wayun Cummies. But anyway, so like the Dominion is whooping the Federation's ass, and Cisco works with Garrick essentially to create a false narrative, a literal lie, to draw the Romulans into the conflict, because the Romulans were perfectly willing to just like wait and be like, ha, the Federation's getting fucked up. We're not gonna get involved.
Wasn't you know, it's been a long time since I watched DS9, but was Pale Moonlight before or after the Romulans were going to join the Dominion?
The Romulans were never going to join the Dominion. The Romulans were sitting everything out. They were just.
I thought there was like, for some reason, I thought there was like
joined the Dominion.
I know the Cardassians did, but I thought there was something about the Romulans joining. But
I think the Romulans were currently neutral. I believe the Cardassians and the Dominion were in talks to get the Romulans to join.
Maybe
I believe
it was something. It was something like that. Like they wanted. The whole thing was that they wanted the Romulans to join the Dominion, and that was part of why the Federation wanted to get the Romulans on their side so bad.
Yes, yeah, there was the threat that the Romulans could join the Dominion.
Yeah,
because the Romulans were saying they were neutral, but obviously we all know that the Romulans are not neutral. The Romulans have a fucking plan. So Cisco and Garrick work together to basically create a false scenario where the Dominion have betrayed the Romulans, and they basically ignite a war between the Romulans and the Dominion. And they didn't even ignite it as like a, hey, we're gonna help you out, Federation. They made it bad enough where the Romulans are like, fuck this, we're gonna fucking declare war on the Dominion ourselves.
You know, and I like this episode very much, but it does tear me up because it is kind of the start of the downfall of Trek. A lot of the problems that we see with Trek can directly be traced to this episode. Now, this is not to say the episode isn't amazing. The episode
only if you ignore I agree with you, and I know exactly where you're coming from and your point, but I believe that only works, and it clearly is, if you fucking ignore Cisco's amazing soliloquy at the fucking end of the episode. If you ignore that, then yes, you get the Trek we have now.
Which is what everyone did.
Right. You're not supposed to ignore the fucking climax. You're not supposed to ignore the soliloquy. It's super important. It's the most important part of the episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to ignore it because they're terrible.
I know, and that's absolutely what it is. Like, because and to anyone listening who hasn't seen it, basically at the end of the episode, Ben Sisko like gives a very powerful and moving soliloquy about how what he did was incredibly wrong, and he probably should not have done it.
But he would do it again, and
he would do it again. He's like, this is wrong. What I did was wrong. he's like basically it's a black mark on my soul. Like it is not okay that I did this,
Yeah.
but if I had to do it again, I would. So like, if you ignore that, yes, you get mean-spirited Trek, which you shouldn't do. Don't
Yeah.
ignore the thing that's very important.
Well, and that's, one of the other things that Deep Space Nine really does, and Next Gen did too, is that section 30, section 38. Is that what it is?
Yes, Federation Black Ops.
Yeah, I don't remember what their full time. It's section something.
I think it's section 38.
Something like that. Yeah, they're the Federation Black Ops shit is always
section 31.
What?
Section 31. Section 31.
So I was right. It's somewhat, but
I
it was only
actually-
7 off.
Yeah. 7 of 9 off.
7 of 9 off. Yes. Yes, they were. They. It's very, very anti-Trek to believe that, because what it does is you have the Federation basically is like our ideals don't work, so we have to have this section 31 going around doing the things that are against our ideals in order to keep things running. If your ideals can't keep things running as they are, they're not good enough. That's the problem.
I actually like the concept of Section 31 existing, but I like the concept of Section 31 existing as something. And I talked about this. I don't think I've talked about this before. Like, here's the thing. I think Section 31 should exist, but they should not, like, they should really play up the fact that they are beyond the Federation, and it should be the Federation versus Section 31 very frequently. Like it should be like Section 31 is involved. It's like, okay, well, we have to try and stop them. Like, what are they doing? Like that kind of thing. I think that would be really cool, because if you have Section 31 exist as an entity that was founded like before the Federation, and they really are operating in this super clandestine like Black Ops wet work thing, and make them bad guys, make them an oppositional force. Like, the Federation does not support Section 31, but Section 31 is so secretive and so like not necessarily all powerful, but so like deeply rooted from the past. It becomes like, you say, like, Captain Picard is like, we have to stop Section 31. Once again, they're trying to do some Black Ops shit. We've got to fucking cast the light on them and show them that they're wrong. So then you make it even more of a thing where, like, not only is the Federation's ideals good enough, but the Federation's ideals are so good they're ready to throw their own, in theory, at some point sanctioned Black Ops section right back into the sunlight and be like, no, what they're doing is wrong, and this is why. And then you have them come out on top every time.
Oh yeah. That's I agree with that. It's just always the Federation's, the ideals of the Federation should always be so sacred that they never get broken, kind of thing. Yes. And if they are, it's like what Cisco says, where he's just like, I can't. He was backed into a wall, and I think that's something that's sometimes a good thing. Is like what the Dominion War could have showed was the ideals of the Federation being tested, and him doing that, and then being so angry. And it would have been nicer if it had carried over a couple more episodes instead of just the one. But
yeah, if he was really fucking torn up about it and like that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean that's a good example, because it doesn't actually subvert the ideals of the Federation, because everyone is holding to it. And then Cisco's just like, he's like, I have no choice. He's like, I have to do this. He's like, it's totally wrong. And then like he's hurt by it. He's really actually damaged by it. Now when you have like current fucking Picard, you got fucking people walking in a room shooting like fucking 30 people, just like gunning them down. It's so maddening. It's just like, that's.
Are you talking? Oh yeah, I remember that scene in First Contact.
Well, it's against the Borg.
I'm sorry that the Federation ideals don't transfer to the Borg.
They don't transfer to the Borg.
All right. So what's your last episode?
Number 5. You're not gonna like it, but my number 5.
Is it the one with the rock in Voyager?
No, but that's awesome. That was just a fucking looped in promo so they could get SmackDown off the ground even more. Although I did really like that episode, by the way.
And everyone liked SmackDown. But anyway,
yes,
go ahead.
Like SmackDown. The Thaw.
The Thaw.
The Thaw. The Thaw is the one with. It's a Voyager season 2 episode.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yes.
Right. Is this the one where Tom Paris and Janeway have lizard sex?
No, that one is Threshold, and you damn well know that.
Anyway.
The Thaw is an episode where they find cryostasis pods,
Oh God,
and
I think I
they're
know this
like,
episode.
what's up with these pods? And there's a fucking there's a all right, so let me give the quick. All right, so they find aliens who are mentally connected to a computer. They're asleep. The planet was destroyed by a solar flare.
Oh my God,
and
I
the
know this
people are
episode, and you are a
in-
fucking sadist.
is so fucked up and so creepy. It's just like one of the most bizarre, like it's literally a horror episode, like an actual, like, this is horror content.
Oh my God, this is, you know what the funny thing about? Okay, go ahead, keep going.
So it's the scariest episode of Star Trek ever done, in my opinion, because when they find 5 of the inhabitants in there, 2 of them are dead from heart attacks, and the other 3 should have already been reawakened, and they're like, why aren't they awake? So Janeway's like, well, let's wake them up, but the crew can't wake them up because the central computer has them locked down. So it's like, well, that's weird. So then I think two members of the crew, I think it was Balana and someone else.
Yes, it's Balana and Paris. Not Paris. Harry Kim.
Yes. So they get connected to the pod to go in, and they're in a fucked up virtual reality. There's a fucking creepy ass clown who's like, yeah, you guys can come play with us now. And like, it's literally a torture episode with like tons of horror. It has creepy and horrific imagery. It is, and one of the reasons I like it, and why I put it in this like random ass top 5, is because it's so fucking weird and out of place and just horrific. I've never seen an episode of Star Trek like it ever.
I could see where you're coming from that one, but I will say that you're a sadist because the episode is really fucking dumb. I mean, I won't. That's just my opinion. It's not a comment on it. I think they probably could have had someone better than Michael McKean play the clown. The production and set design did look like a TOS on that one.
Yes, it 100%. That's the other thing too. It was the most. It had the most TOS vibes of, because I mean we've talked about this before, but we talked about how Voyager is kind of like a weird emulation attempt of TOS.
Yeah.
And this one was literally like, you look at stills from it, like if you just look up the Thaw and go to images, like if you look up Star Trek Voyager the Thaw and look up images, you will just like, you can see plenty of pictures with the clown and the other people, and you're like, this looks like right out of the 1960s.
Yeah, it was very 60s oriented.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. I'm looking at the writers, and the guy who actually wrote that episode only wrote one thing in his career, and it was that episode of Star Trek Voyager.
No shit.
Yeah, the guy who did the teleplay though did a lot of Star Trek. He's a Star Trek regular, and I recognize him. But but the guy who did his only writing credit on IMDb. IMD, as I like to say. Yeah,
that makes it all the more mysterious.
So that's your top 5 polls for right now. Maybe soon we could get another. Once you finish season 2 of TOS, you can give a roundup of your feelings on season 2.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd like to see it. So
yeah, did you get through City on the Edge of Forever yet?
City on the Edge of Forever.
That's the one with Edith Keeler Must Die.
No,
you haven't gotten there yet. That's the one where they go back in time to like the 1920s, and they have to save Joan Collins, and they accidentally save Joan Collins, and because they save Joan Collins, Hitler wins.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one. I see the episode I did see where they already went back in time was where they encountered the fighter pilot.
Yes, that's Mission Earth, Mission something. But the City on the Edge of Forever is the second to last episode, because it's like fucking Kirk's got to deal with the death of Edith Keeler, and then the very next episode his brother gets killed in Operation Annihilate, and then it goes into a mock time. Spock gets all horny. It's just like
a mock time is pretty good.
Yes, Operation Annihilate is a terrible episode, but it's just like saddled between 2 of the best episodes of all time. So
that's funny. And
it's like this weird thing where it's like Kirk's brother, who's never been mentioned, gets killed, and he's never mentioned again.
Yeah, like, they do. That's a Star Trek thing I've noticed. Like, they always do like here's this family. Like, I mean, obviously, this is one of the things. More to the TNG movies spiraling into just cruelty is where like you have Jean-Luc's brother and that adopted kid.
Renee?
Or, like,
Are you talking about
yeah.
Renee?
I'm talking about Renee, and like they're like a minor thing,
Yeah.
like a minor footnote in like one of the episodes, and like they're fine. It's like, and then he has that adopted kid who Renee's taking care of, and
Yeah.
then like in fucking Generations, they're like, yeah, they're dead. They died in a fire,
Yeah, I know, that was so brutal.
and it's like, why would you do that? Like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah. All right. So we finished our Trek talk. It lasted almost about a whole hour.
Yes.
But you did want to talk about Mork Borg.
I did want to talk about Mork Borg.
Yes, because we were on the Borg. We're going to talk about the Mork Borg. I know.
Mork Borg.
It's funny. Like, I may actually even split this episode in two. We'll see. Depending.
We'll have to make sure that we give a the one complaint that was that we should mention that it's a two-parter.
Yes, I said that I actually, the name of the episode of the last two was just like mega episode part 1. It was like
I think it was the ending, the recording ending, like was just like a stop. We should be like, and we're gonna stop here, and then the next episode. So I think that was I believe that was the comment.
Well, we only have like 10 listeners, so I'm not going to worry too much. Now we only have 9 because that one guy was like, "Well, Huffy." I didn't see that, so I don't know which one of our listeners I should imitate: the British, the Australian, or the Scottish, or the Canadian,
or New Zealand.
Yes, New Zealand, Finnish, Swedish.
We are far more popular overseas.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But I know. So Mork Borg has actually been picking up a little bit of press lately. I don't know why in particular. I know that they do have OSR, and they have a fuck ton of really cool supplements for it.
Yes, I think the reason it's specifically picking up steam right now is because there's a bunch of Kickstarters that are delivering now.
Oh, okay.
Because I just pre-ordered Heretic in the GM screen, and like I got them like immediately, so they must be delivering those Kickstarters like right now. So that's why it's probably in the top of the thing. But let me tell you, so I'm gonna this isn't a.
I know they won
a
a bunch of awards too. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it was like 2 years ago, but anyway.
But that was for the core book. It's a multi-award winning core book. So this is a bit of a mea culpa on my part. I never actually looked into the book. I just like looked at the way it looked. I looked at the aesthetics. I was like, this game looks fucking awesome, blah, blah, blah. But I never actually like picked up and read the book. And the reason I didn't do that is because like I assumed quite incorrectly, much to my chagrin now, that it was a strictly OSR title. And by that, I mean like the rule set is just D20, like old D20,
yeah,
like Lamentations of the Flame Princess, like where it's just like, yeah, it's its own system, but I mean it's basically Dungeons and Dragons. You roll D20s. There's armor class. It's old Dungeons and Dragons. So I assumed there would be nothing new in the rules. So I was like, maybe it's one I'll pick up later. That was my I put a pin in it essentially. Now, after having sat and read the book for like a while, I was like, oh, I'm a fucking moron. I should have bought this book fucking immediately. It's its own system. It's its own unique system. It does use D20s, yes, but it is not a D20 game. It's not even close to a D20 game. The first thing that's really cool about it is the players roll all the dice for just about everything. As the DM, you're rolling dice for damage, kind of, that's it. So, because the way it works is like, Joe, if your character enters a dungeon room, I'm like, there's 2 orcs, and you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna fucking slash one of these orcs. You take your attack test, and you see if you hit. If you hit, you roll your damage. Say you kill one of the orcs. Now I'm like, okay, the other orc attacks you. Instead of me rolling for the orc to attack you, you roll your own defense on your character sheet. So your character has how good your character is at defending themselves on their character sheet. And I'm like, the orc attacks you. If you pass your defense, your character defends themselves. If you fail your defense, I roll the orc's damage on you.
Interesting. I mean,
So
I'm not as well versed in multiple rule sets. I mean, it sounds interesting. I don't know how that would actually play, but it sounds like it could be cool.
So well, it's a lot nicer because there's no fudging, there's no question. Like you can't obfuscate. One of the biggest things that like I hate in role playing games, and why I always roll my attack rolls in front of the group, and I've always done this because I think that's how it should be done, is when DMs pull punches. Like, if you crit someone 3 times in a row, a lot of times the DM will be like, oh, he misses you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes back to my bigger issue, which is ever since 3.5, Dungeons and Dragons has been about DM supporting the players through a story instead of DM versus players in a story.
Yes.
Which I think is a completely different way of looking at RPG rules. And why does everybody want to play Dungeons and Dragons instead of Dungeon Master Dungeons and Dragons? Because they don't want to, be a babysitter the entire time.
Yes.
They want, like, old school Dungeons and Dragons was player versus DM, and sometimes the DM would TPK and he would win Dungeons and Dragons, and it was advanced.
That's true. You win Dungeons and Dragons in advance. So the first thing of having the player in charge of their own defense rolls, and it being a, did you save yourself or did you not? Like, the player rolls in front of everyone. So like if they roll a 1 on their defense roll, everyone knows, including the player, that they're gonna get fucked up because they rolled a 1 on their defense roll.
They're gonna get fucked up.
They're gonna get fucked up. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it has roll the dice character creation, which I love. Just like, here's your dice, roll them, see what you got. Stats are minuses or pluses, and they adjust your D20 roll respectively. So if you have a strength +2, anytime you're doing a strength check, you roll your D20 +2. If you have a strength -2, same thing. Every time you roll a D20 to a strength check, it's -2, whatever your roll is. So stats are very easy to understand. Leveling up is very cool because leveling up is you perform a sequence. Let me see if I can pull it up handily. When you, I'm going to open the book I'll get back to how leveling up works as soon as I get my book in front of me. But anyway, so like it's very old school. There's tons and tons of tables. But the main point of this game is its world, and its world is incredibly interesting because you are playing. It is not a post-apocalyptic game, it is an apocalyptic game. The world is literally ending. There's a chart in the book that has psalms. There are 7 psalms, and you can set a time frame on how often you're going to roll, and the idea is that each in-game day the DM rolls a d6, and on a 1 you've activated a psalm, and then you roll to see what it is. Now you can change that d6 to something else, where it's like you could do, I think it's like a d100, a d10, a d100, a d20, a d6, or a d2. A d2 is because if you roll, and on any of these, if you roll a 1, you activate one of the psalms. There's a chart of psalms, and each one has some sort of like calamitous impact on the game world, and they're game-changing calamitous impacts. Like one of them is like literally zombies. Like one of them is like the dead rise from the grave, period. Like, so like that means like in the entire game world, the dead are rising from the grave. So that means there's now fucking zombies fucking everywhere.
Interesting.
Because that's part of the apocalypse. When you get to Psalm 7, the 7th Psalm is the end. Everything dies. The apocalypse has happened. It's like the sun goes out. The world, it's like shadow eats shadow. It's over. Like there's no longer world.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. Yes. So that's really sweet. I like that idea of there's just an actual time limit. And then inside the game, like they're like, well, what are your characters doing? Are they like, You know, are they someone who like held back all their life and they just want to like run around and be a murder hobo now that they have the chance because there's basically no consequences because the world is ending? Are they someone who wants to prevent this apocalypse? There's tons of reasons your character might be adventuring, and that's up to you. It could be petty, it could be mighty, doesn't matter. But the one thing that is true is the apocalypse is happening. So like that's a thing. But the leveling up thing is really cool. When you level up, it's you do these things in order. So the first is like you get more HP, and it's like you roll dice and you roll 60-10, and if the result is equal or greater than your current max HP, you then gain D6 HP.
Oh.
You get a reward on a D6 you roll, and then on a 1 to 3 you get nothing, on a 4 you get something, on a 5 you get something, on a 6 you get something else. And then ability changes. You roll a D6 against every ability you have. If you're equal or greater than your ability, it goes up by 1. If your ability is if your roll is below your current ability, you decrease it by 1.
Ugh.
And abilities are yes, so you can get worse because like you've been doing things. Maybe you got fucking hurt. That's why your strength is reduced. But anyway, so the abilities are from -3 to +1. But they can never be reduced below -3. And then the maximum is +6. And it says if your ability is -3 or a +1, you always get 1. So if your ability is like already shitty, you're not like further penalized unless you've rolled a 1.
You said
so,
penalized.
I did. I specifically said penal because it's penalized.
Well, they yeah, I mean that it sounds interesting. I mean, it's definitely different than most RPG games. So let me ask you a question: do you think it's good one-shotting, or do you think it's good for campaigns?
I think it's good. You can set the time limit to exactly what you want using the apocalypse system. So for example, if you do D2. That means you're flipping a coin. Every 1 advances the psalm. So that means, like I said, once you've done 7 ones, the game's over. So that's in-game data. So you could easily run a one-shot with that apocalypse timeline because, the players do their adventuring for 1 day, and you're like, okay, next day, oh, another apocalypse thing happened, and they're like, oh shit, okay, well, this is happening. The apocalypse will happen very fast. So it can work as a one-shot, and it could work as a campaign. I would probably run it as. They have 4 speeds for the apocalypse, and I think the slowest one I would actually run is D20, because the D100 is going to be that's going to take forever for that to actually end. So if you can run it as a campaign, it's very deadly as a game. So I think it's probably something that's better off being run as do your adventure and then see what happens by the end of it, because it's super fucking deadly. Because it's super deadly. Like your characters are as deadly as the enemies, which is to say very.
Yeah, interesting.
It's pretty dope. I'm a very big fan. Like I said, I thought it was just going to be a really cool stylized D20 thing, but then I actually looked into it, and also the book's presentation is phenomenal. Like the actual physical book. This is one of those things where you really, really I have the PDF because they gave it to you for free by buying the book, but actually holding and looking through this book is really nice. Like they're really good.
The I know they're doing a Kickstarter for miniatures, or they already went through that Kickstarter. I think it's
it's still going.
Yes, it's got a week to go. So when I post this, it'll be a week to go. It's Westphalia. They do some good stuff. These are all greens. These are not 3D printed. They're actual
hand sculpted.
Yeah, they're not 3D printed, so they have to be sculpted, Steve.
No. Like they
using green stuff.
Yes, like traditionally, like old school sculpted.
Yeah, hand sculpted. They're really nice looking. I mean, I do like them. I think, and I think what's interesting for Mork Borg. So you talked about it, you wanted to talk about it. So I did a little bit of reading up on it, and I know a couple of our listeners, or at least one of our listeners, has written a supplement for it. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was looking up on it and everything like that. And what I think is really funny is that no one knows what to call this game. Some people, what here it goes, apocalyptic fantasy, doom metal, weird horror. These are just a couple that I found on there, like of what, like there's no all over. It's all over the place on what people call it. I like the idea of doom metal. I think that's a pretty fun way of saying it, and it's like, but everyone disagrees. It's like rules light, art heavy is basically what it is. Yeah.
For me personally, I think all of those things are correct. But if you were to sum it up, the fastest sum up 100% is rules light, art heavy.
Yeah.
I think that's the fastest sum up I would give that. Give the game.
But I think what's interesting too is that to me it sounds like the game can get pretty brutal. Like the player death is fairly common, or something.
It could easily be. That's the thing. Like you could, because there's a lot of like at least in the supplements or the campaigns I've been reading, there's a good chunk of stuff where it is literally like live or die on a dice roll. And but like when I say like live or die, I mean it's like it is that level of finality in both directions. It's like you pull the fucking Excalibur from the stone, and on that 20 you have Excalibur and you're the fucking king. On that one, Excalibur kills you. Like that's the level of like some of the roles. So like I do like that, because I find that a lot of the OSR games, the only reward for not dying is not dying.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit more interesting to have a real, like almost like an equilibrium of stakes, where it's like, if you fail, you're dead. If you succeed, all of the glory is yours. Like I like that dynamic a little bit more.
Let's do the Japanese thing. We don't reward intelligence. We punish ignorance.
We punish ignorance. That's right. You're used to American game shows where they reward intelligence. This is Japan. We punish ignorance. That's a great one. That was voiced by George Takei, actually.
What's that? That was voiced by George Takei.
That was voiced by George Takei. Yeah.
Because right now, Elden Ring. You said you haven't played it yet, or maybe you played it, but
yeah, I've not played Elden Ring yet. I've been watching one of the YouTubers and a few of the Hololive girls play it, but I have not played it myself.
I've watched it a couple times. I think I may not pick it up because it looks a little too hard for me. Which is fine. I'm just saying that probably for myself, it's a little too hard.
I think you could do it. I think it's actually one of the easiest Souls-like games. But you would basically need to just look up a few things to make it easy, because the things that make the game easier are there's not only can you summon other players in this one, but there's also NPC summons, which you can just do, spirits, and they make a lot of the boss fights much easier. Yeah. There's like you can summon, there's like spectral soldiers, there's like jellyfish, there's like a bunch of stuff. If you go that route, you can definitely, like, I think the like being it's very hard if you play it in a certain way. You can make it a lot easier if you play it in another way, and I would say the easier way would be using things to summon help. But there's also like there's mounted combat, which is like a big difference. I think it looks good. It looks fun. It looks like a game that I'm having a good time with. And I think the hardest thing about it is playing it blind, because that's because I'm watching a blind playthrough, and like there are absolutely just brutal pitfalls where you can just be like, what the, like there's a spot where there's a treasure chest, and like if you open this treasure chest you find quite early in the game, it teleports you to a very, very high level part of the game, where like if you basically try to fight anything, they just destroy the fuck out of you. But the game has sneaking, and it has a pretty good sneaking mechanic, so like you can sneak away, like you're never like really stuck. That was one of the things, that was the big thing I noticed that appeared to be the biggest difference to me between this one and like Bloodborne and Dark Souls is like Dark Souls is usually like it's not linear, but it's kind of linear. Like if you get to a spot in Dark Souls, like once you get past the first point where there's like the very first part of Dark Souls, there's left and right. Left is a high level, very difficult direction. Right is the way you're supposed to go, essentially. So if you go left and you think, oh, wow, this game's super fucking hard, I'm just getting my ass kicked, and you never go right, you'll never realize that you went to the harder difficulty. But those are your two choices. Once you get past that, most of the time Dark Souls is like, you need to go here, and it's like, this is really fucking hard, there's nothing I can do about it. With Elden Ring, because it's an open world and there's sneaking, there's a lot of ways to like circumvent areas that you might not otherwise want, because there's already a speedrunner who beat the game in an hour.
Yeah.
And they did that mostly by doing things like using the things that warped them to a later level area. They snuck around to grab the items. They just didn't fight stuff. They snuck around. So like Elden Ring is very open, which is something that's going to make it both easier and much harder.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like with the success of games like Elden Ring, with Dark Souls, Bloodborne, is that I think people are really kind of gravitating toward this style and art, kind of like, and brutality in their tabletop, which hasn't really existed. I mean, you look like, yes, 40K can look like that from the outside, but when you actually get to like the play style, like 40K is really fucking goofy. Like, it's just like, look at blue skin fish people versus the big super muscular dudes. It's like, that's not really that grimdark when you look at it on the tabletop, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's with Mork Borg. The other thing is Mork Borg is also like, it's also very tongue in cheek. It's a bit silly.
Yeah,
and like,
I mean, well,
it's silly in like a brutal way. Like one of the, like there's a pretty big miscast table, and one of the miscasts just turns you into a skeleton.
Yeah. Well, and also it's but that's doom metal in general. Like doom metal, yes, is very serious, but it's also a little tongue in cheek. I'm sorry, Mick, but it is.
It's a bit silly.
I'll apologize to Mick in person. I'm seeing him tonight, but he's a big fan of Mork Borg too. He really likes it. And he's a huge metalhead.
It's really good. I was beyond impressed after I actually cracked open the book. The book's like, they also the actual book itself. It has there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot that's lost in translation to the PDF. It's because there's like foiling, like there's a thing that just looks like there's like a page on the PDF that just looks like a cross, but in the actual physical book, that cross is like silver metallic with like accents, and it looks really cool when you turn the page. It's very artsy.
There's I will say this. I know Mork Borg has their own figure line, but I'll just add in my 3D printer line that I just absolutely adore. It's Beastarium Miniatures. I send you
one you sent me.
I send their shit all the time because I just think it's so cool looking.
The last one you sent me is fucking dope as shit. The last one you sent me are awesome.
I've printed out a couple of their stuff. It looks a little more fragile on the page as it does after it's printed. After it's printed, it's actually pretty solid. But the shit is just super metal. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. The last one you sent me is awesome. And actually, it's kind of funny. I was one of the things, like, the Mork Borg models are great. I think they'd be a fine addition to anyone's collection of miniatures. However, I will say this: I think they look too good.
Maybe.
I think, and this is what I mean by they look too good, is that they're masterfully sculpted. The details are great. They look like amazing dark fantasy miniatures, but I want them to look shitty. I want them to look like an old, like when you go to the old game store in, like, 86, and there's like the Ral Partha sculpt, and then there's the, like, what was the one you fucking sent me a picture of that you found, the old ass model.
Oh God, I don't remember. I've sent so many of them, but they're all terrible.
Yeah. That brand, that one you sent me, that is what I'm thinking when I think of
what brand?
It was fucking, God, I can't remember. It was some weird ass brand because we made fun of the copy on the back of the blister.
Oh my God, yeah. I know which one you're talking about. Oh God, I hold on a second. Hold on a second. I have it right here in my.
Yeah, good. Oh, good, excellent. In your study.
Castle Creations.
Castle Creations.
Yeah. It is the Shiva. The Shiva miniature. Yeah, Shiva, as in Shiva Linga.
Yes.
Yes, it's because if you're tired of high prices and wimpy heroes and monsters, and you want characters that look tough enough to survive the deadliest adventure, you come to Castle Creations.
Yes, tough enough to survive the deadliest adventure. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. So that model, that's what I think about when I think about, like, when I'm thinking like Mork Borg, just like something that's actually kind of shitty. is my thought process. So I mean, I think they're great. It's just like they grimy. That's the word I want to use. Like there's a certain grime when you're looking at the art in the book.
Yeah,
there's a certain grime to it. And I don't think
it's the
that
dank.
It's the dank. Yeah, it's literally the dank. And I don't think that the masterfully sculpted model, while it captures the image that it's based off of perfectly, it doesn't have that feel of like kind of shitty that I like. I feel needs. It's why I talked about how I don't like, the same reason I don't like the new Hero Quest, because the new Hero Quest models are all awesome, but they look like World of Warcraft 3D models.
They look all shiny. No, and that's why I dig Beasterium, because not only do they have huge variation on very weird, odd shit, but it's very weird, odd shit that's all very similar looking. So you could easily see how it all exists in the same universe, and it's very like the models are beautiful. They're 3D sculpted very, very well, but they have a certain appeal to them of like that dankness, that kind of like crazy Dark Souls, Bloodborne world that I kind of feel Mork Borg belongs to. Real stylistic consistency. And like I was saying, I mean, I'm not trying to knock those models. They're great looking models. They look awesome. Like they really do. They look very, very good. Well, and I think anyone should support that project. And I think it's the flip side of Beasterium, where it's like they are old school, but the problem is that they're trying to be old school, but they're sculpted so well that they can't look old school, because old school models actually look terrible. Does that make sense? Yes, old school models look really bad. Yeah, and that's part of their appeal to them. And also, from what I've seen on Mork Borg doesn't really look like a game that's very miniatures. It's not even miniatures light. It's miniatures nothing, really. Like, yeah, you can do miniatures nothing. There's really no reason to, like. I mean, I would use miniatures just because I find a lot of people like. I've been using zoned combat because I've actually been running the Fallout D20 game. Yeah. And I really like zoned combat, and I like miniatures just so people can kind of get like a little bit of a feel of like where the fight is, or at least the biggest thing for me, the biggest reason to use minis or some sort of tokens that I didn't even really consider is not even when you're talking tactical, but like so you don't have to keep reminding people of how many enemies are still in play. Because I've had someone kind of like, I mean, they didn't like get like mad, but they were like, oh, well, I forgot that there was like 4 other guys, like he forgot the number of things they were fighting, and like he felt bad because like he felt he made the wrong move because he didn't remember to ask me again how many things were left. So I feel like having something on the board, at least so like everyone, like even if it's just chess pieces, at least so everyone knows, you know, these are how many bad guys are in play, these are where you're in play. I agree with that. I actually do think for combat, a non-miniatures based combat, but just the miniatures are there to represent where the players are, how many enemies are there, you know, where they're facing, what's going on, you know. Yeah. If you, and that's the concept behind Dungeon Pizza, and I think Mork Borg is quite literally perfect for Dungeon Pizza. Dungeon Pizza being, in case anyone's unaware of how Dungeon Pizza works, Dungeon Pizza is it's called so because the dude who came up with it, it's a big circle. He made it out of polystyrene. And then the circle has 3 zones. The outermost ring is cordoned off. I think he made it like it looks kind of like nondescript, like gray. And then there's an inner ring, which looks like cobblestone. And then there's an even tighter, like bullseye inner ring, which is like really small cobblestone. So like on site, you can clearly see that this circle has 3 zones inside it. And the way the zones work is, the very middle bullseye zone is melee. The second ring is ranged, and the third ring is out of the combat. So you set that Dungeon Pizza up, and it can represent any part of the dungeon, because you can be like, this is the dungeon room. So the mental image is, if you are on the bullseye or the second ring, you are in the room and you're fighting. So in the middle, you're fighting in melee combat. In the second ring, you're in ranged combat, and then in the third ring, you are outside of the room. No, that's. I will admit, I think that's it's interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily what I would like to do, but I could probably go through it and understand what's happening. Yeah, it's one of those things that will go, once you see it in action, it's like, oh, okay. Like it becomes very, very digestible. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. But I do think Mork Borg is one of those interesting games that I think we kind of need right now. I think we're very heavy D&D as a society, And yes, there are other games out there, but I think more people need to start branching out now. I think what we have reached is we've reached critical D&D. And we need now for people to go, you know what? I really like this game. I want to see what else is out there. And more than likely they'll just go to Pathfinder. But
No, you know what? I don't think anyone's going to go to Pathfinder. Pathfinder is literally just for people who are just that diehard about not switching from 3.5. That's the only people playing Pathfinder. People who are just like I don't think outside of like someone who happens to be recruited into a specific group, like outliers aside, nobody is going like, I'm going to play Pathfinder. Like no one is doing that. Like there's no one who's doing that.
Yeah,
Everyone's playing Pathfinder. It's either they were a 3.5 diehard or they were recruited by a 3.5 diehard to play.
That's what I was going to say. There's also that too. The people who, I would say anything pre 2015, it was probably just thought that Pathfinder was where you go, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a while, Pathfinder was the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And Paizo squandered that. They squandered that opportunity.
Yes,
they let Wizards take it back because they didn't. They just it was the exact same thing that happened with War Machine.
Yeah, it was
literally exactly the same thing. It's like
I think they're different in that I think War Machine lost what they had because they just made a lot of really stupid decisions. I think that.
Paizo, that's the whole thing. They did a bunch of bad calls too. They tried to stretch their edition for far too long, and they made it really hard to keep up with their edition because they kept releasing just so many fucking supplements. The thing that originally killed 3.5 was there was thousands of books. There was too much. It was too hard to get into.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, I'll give you that. I was going to say like their only sin was being too loyal to their fan base and not wanting to do a new edition.
Basically, yeah. That's the thing. Like people complain about edition swaps, but they're necessary. They're absolutely necessary. Like the only time they're not necessary is if you have an extremely rules light game. But even then, you can usually find like, oh, hey, you know what, this is better. Like Fate is a good example. Like Fate Condensed is the one I have, and I really like Fate Condensed. But the one that I considered the Fate the prototype for Fate Condensed, which was like Fate Quick. I don't remember. There's three versions of Fate, and the one that came out just before the one I have, people really hated. And even though it was rules light, it's because they kept the stuff that people really didn't like, kind of, and like jettisoned the good stuff. The one I have is a much better design. So even a rules light system can use new additions or some kind of a fix if necessary. There's a few games that I'd say probably wouldn't ever need it. Call of Cthulhu, that's a game that has new additions that don't change the game really.
Yeah, I think the best thing about Call of Cthulhu is that we do slight tweaks to our rule sets to make them, hopefully more streamlined and better. But at the same time, we have this new edition, so that way we don't have to keep tons of books in print at the same time. Yes. That in the next edition that book will come back. So don't freak out.
Every edition for Call of Cthulhu is quite literally just streamlining, and it's such to the point where you can very easily use an original 80s Call of Cthulhu supplement with the brand new 7th edition book.
Absolutely, 100%. I think it's actually an 8th edition now, isn't it? I don't know.
8th? It might be. It was either 7th or 8th. But yeah, so like that's how tight the rule set is. But that's because they happened to just like hit that kind of like that sweet spot, that like really kind of perfect rule set. And honestly, so did Dungeons and Dragons. Like Dungeons and Dragons kind of like it fucked itself over by getting bigger. Being more complex, because that's the whole thing. Like when you do a new edition, it should be to ease play. So that's why I said rules light systems are the ones that are the least likely to ever need new editions, like how D&D has new editions. But because D&D would do a new edition and they added a bunch of bullshit to their game. They made it harder. So like you make the game harder with additions, then because you've made the game harder with your new edition, then the need for another edition is even more necessary. I think because you've made the game so much harder.
And then I think we could end on this kind of thought. And because I've been thinking about it a lot. We've been talking about D&D moving to the new edition and how Wizards is probably shitting themselves on what they're going to do.
Yeah,
My feeling
absolutely.
is, looking at the history of Dungeons and Dragons, the popular editions always get a 0.5. Since this is a super popular edition, I'm assuming it's going to go to 5.5. You know, we had a 5.5, we had a 3.5. Technically, I believe we had a 2.5 as well. And it's, even though they didn't call it, but there was a re-release of core books, and they updated them and fixed them up and did a couple re-releases. So I believe there was a 2.5.
Yes.
And I don't think it was officially called 2.5. And also, I also think, one, you can consider
advanced.
Well, if you consider Dungeons and Dragons and then Advanced Dungeons and Dragons to be kind of like a 1.15, even though that's tenuous, maybe. But okay, let's just say 2 and 3 both had 0.5s, 4 flopped, and 5 right now only has, I looked at it, only has 30 books in the entire range.
Four not only flopped, but 4 also had a 0.5 of its own. That was when they released the digest books, the adventures.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody even knew that, and so I don't think that would be considered a 0.5.
The digest books were really good. They were very popular. I recommend. They're ludicrously expensive now, but they're definitely a good addition.
Yes. So I think what you're going to see is so here's my prediction, which is going to be proved entirely wrong, is that it's going to be 5.5. You are going to see a updated player's handbook, monster manual, and dungeon master guide. It'll be a different art style, but it'll be similar enough that people will recognize it. And you probably won't see any of the current 5e books reprinted, but what you'll see is the similar rules reprinted in different manuals. So you probably won't see like Tasha's guide, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. You'll see another book that would have the Tasha rules in there and make it a little more streamlined. Because right now, the biggest problem is I think there's like 7 core books that you should probably own if you're playing 5th ed. And you're dungeon mastering. Let's put it that way. If you're a player, there's probably like 4 books you should own.
You need the 3 core. You need Xanathars. You need Tasha's.
Yeah.
What's the other thing? You need Mordenkainen's.
Yeah.
Mordenkainen's. You need that too. Those are the 6 for sure. I don't know what the 7th one is, but those are the 6 you need for sure. Tasha's, Mordenkainen, Xanathars, and then the 3 core books.
Yeah. And so
those I can learn. Pretty mandatory.
So you'll probably see those rules reprinted in a different format, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Someone postulated something, and that someone is me, and I was thinking, like, what if the saturation of this edition is so mighty? Because I mean, brass tacks, Dungeons and Dragons has never been this big before. This is like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think any tabletop game has ever been this big. Like, this game is bigger than Magic. Like that. Like, think about that. Let that slink in.
I will politely disagree, but I get what you're saying.
There's 50 million active Dungeons and Dragons players. That is more people who play more than the amount of active Magic players.
Yes, but I don't know if those people are actively playing. But that's besides the point. We're arguing something wrong here.
So the biggest install base Dungeons and Dragons has ever had, just absolutely just unbelievably huge. And what if, because this install base is so big, something completely unpredictable happens, and everyone who is playing is just like, no.
And I was
they're just like, no, we're not gonna buy the new books. No,
I have friends that are they're so baffled by the idea of a new edition. I think that's possible, but here's what happens with the new edition. And we're all tabletop players. I think everybody who's listening to this podcast understands this, is that when you have a rule edition, you're always going to have the vocal jackasses that are like, I'm never changing editions. You have them with fantasy, you have them with 40K, you have them with everything. But
that's not even where I agree with you.
Well, but wait, listen, let me finish my thought on this one though. So you have those people, but then what you also have is you just have people who want to play. And sometimes, and most of the time, anybody who's new that's going to get into the game, if the only books you can get are the new editions, that's the game you have to play. So you're going to have a group of people who are going to be like, I'm just looking for a play group. And then, if you have a DM that's like, okay, yeah, we're doing 5.5. And you're like, I really liked 5. And the guy's like, it's the same edition. It's just, the books are slightly changed. The rules are still there. And, most of the time people will be like, okay, fine, whatever. And if all I have to pick up is a player's handbook, that's fine, So I think you have that. You do have the diehards, which eventually come over. Like, otherwise, there would still be people playing, third ed 40K, which there are, but it's like they're very vocal and weird.
I wasn't even thinking like obstinate, like people who were like butthurt, like I'm mad, I'm not gonna switch to the new edition. Like I'm literally thinking of people who are just like you were saying, people who just are flabbergasted by another edition. They're just like I'm good. I already have the game. I don't need more. Some kind of like milk toast a version of not adopting to the new edition. I just had a thought. I was like, I wonder what would happen if like a bunch of players are just like, no, we're good. We got enough.
And also because people have FOMO, they also have I want to buy the new shiny thing. There's a lot of that stuff. Yeah,
right. I'm an idiot. This is gonna be the most pumped through Critical Role thing ever.
Yeah.
Every single fucking podcast streaming thing ever is gonna dick ride the new edition. So yeah, it's not gonna matter. Never mind. I take it back. There's no possibility of it happening. There's no way, because once Matt Mercer is like, buy the new edition, kids, they're all gonna be like, yeah, let's go. Matt Mercer said it was great.
I'll give it. I like Vox Machina.
Whatever. I mean, I don't watch it. I should just the problem I have with Vox Machina is it breeds the players should always win narrative harder than anything else. The no risk scenario where every character death is epic and amazing if they even die, but most times they don't die. They just always succeed. Like that's why I like games like Mork Borg and OSR, because like, yeah, sometimes you just fucking die. Sometimes it's not like epic or noble. Sometimes you just like, yeah, you got fucking stabbed. Like you're just dead. Like that's how it happens sometimes. The world's not great.
And on that note, I think it's just like a perfect way to end the podcast. It's like things aren't great.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think because I got to run in a little bit.
All right, very good.
You could go to our Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way you can help us out. You could like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes, like, comment, subscribe on the YouTubes. You could also follow Steve at @command_throw on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I am on Instagram at GameClassyJoe. Just to let people know, I am taking a couple month hiatus from painting. Because I'm going to be moving houses soon, and I don't want to like start projects that I'll have to like end midway through, and it'd just be a pain in the ass. And I want to focus on that. We do have Adepticon, which we did not talk about, but that's in 2 weeks, so maybe we might do something around Adepticon. I don't know, whatever that will be. I know you're not going, and I'm going to be there all 3 days, or 3 of the 4 days. I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I don't know if I'm going to be playing in that tournament on Saturday. Yes, I'm prepared, but I just don't know the rules well enough, and I'm going to be playing in a mega battle at midnight. So I don't know if that's...
Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't know how to play Age of Sigmar. I have no fucking idea how to play that game right now.
Yeah. So we'll see on that one. But anyway, yes, I am at Game Classy Joe. So, Steve, until next time.
Shit, I thought of a really good line, so I'll just what's the drink? What's the drink from fucking Manuever?
I think you failed, Steve, because you know what the proper ending would have been?
What's that?
It's a fake.
Oh shit, you're right. It's a fake.
Later.
Game Classy.